Hey guys, I think I have everything that I need right here. For today's video, we are going to pot up my Monstera Constellation. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Melissa and I'm really excited for this video. This was the very first video I did on my channel. Hasn't quite been a year, but I potted up my Monstera, this one here in that video. It's grown so much, you guys. So much. I actually grew this plant from a tiny node, believe it or not. And this plant has a little bit of slime mold in here. It's not harmful, but I don't like it, and that tells me that this soil in here is staying a little bit too moist, and that is not good for a Monstera because they are notorious for getting root rot. It is in a clear container and I can see the roots, which is why I potted him into here, but it's not good enough. All these like pre-made holes that I drilled is not good enough, even with the ones on the bottom. This is like I think a soup container or a pickle container, something like that. So my plan is to still use a clear pot so I can keep an eye on the roots, but it has a lot more airflow, and I'm just going to use this small acrylic stake to support him for now, and I'll eventually have to get another stake as the plant grows. And I'll give you a close-up here. This is the newest leaf. It's fenestrated. Isn't that beautiful? Monstera constellations are actually large form Monstera, so these plants get huge one day if if it gets to grow that big. So keep that in mind, that if you get a they get huge. And they are notorious for rot. They rot very easily. And I think that's the struggle with these plants. It's different from the elbow in the sense that a has very short internodal spacing. And what that means is the space between the nodes gets very short and condensed. So if you go to propagate this plant, you don't have a lot of wiggle room and they can rot very easily. Oh, we have a partner. We have a partner in crime joining me. Why do you want to join me for every video? We'll see how long she lasts before I put her down. Once a has rot, I feel like it's really hard to control it and stop it from coming back. I actually had a Monstera Constellation before this one, and it was sold to me with root rot, and unfortunately I could not stop the spread no matter what I did. I battled it for about 6 months. And I was left with one cutting and it died. Unfortunately, the rot just kind of took over, kept spreading, and it eventually ruined the node, and that just unfortunately died. It was probably the biggest plant purchase I had made at that time. And it happens, we all kill plants. It's just part of the plant journey and learning and growing. I probably would have done things differently if I could, and that's okay, we learn from our mistakes. So I also wanted to show you the slime mold that has developed in here. And I'll put the actual name of this on the screen. It's basically a sign that your soil may be staying too moist. So if I see this, I like to get rid of it. So it's kind of like one of those things where in some plants you can leave it and it's fine, but I don't like to see it. It kind of signals to me that something may be going on with my soil. It's staying too moist. The mix isn't good. I don't know. If I see that in my plants, I get rid of it. I just don't like to see it. My plan is to not disturb him too much. I'm going to try and get off this old soil, and then I am going to just be repotting into a fresh mix. I think I was trying to decide if I wanted to use my mix or I wanted to use soul soils, but I think I'm going to go with soul soils because I feel like it holds on to a little bit of moisture, but it's still very chunky enough that it will provide enough airflow for this plant rather than my mix. I just think this pot was a horrible pot to put this plant in at that time. So yeah, we're just going to dig in. And usually when I'm unpotting a plant, I just squeeze all sides. Usually I can stick my finger in the bottom where the drain hole is and push up, and it will loosen it from the bottom of the pot. I don't really like to pull too much. I just kind of like to squeeze. I did water this plant recently, so it is a little bit wet. We are turned around for this video too. You guys are getting a peek at my moss pole corner behind me. So I will probably use this as some kind of propagation vessel. Maybe I could use this with perlite or something. I think would be good. You can just see all that slime mold. Yeah, do you see all that? That is all over. So yeah, I don't like this. So we are gonna do our best to get rid of it. I'm not gonna soak the roots in hydrogen peroxide and water or anything. I think if I just get rid of this old soil and provide the plant with a little bit more airflow, it would be a lot better. And I definitely don't want to pot up too large with Monstera just because you don't want to overwhelm the soil. I usually let all of my variegated Monsteras dry at least, I would say 3/4 of the way dry. Sometimes they do get all the way dry, but I try not to let them get to that point. Nothing is rotted, all the roots are healthy. Now, if this slime mold comes back and doesn't go away, then I might soak this plant, the roots, in water and hydrogen peroxide just to kill anything growing. Because this plant actually did develop slime mold before in that pot. I had repotted it once after I first initially put it in there because it had slime mold, and I just attributed it to like poor soil because I actually had slime mold in several of my Monsteras, not just this one, and I attributed it to like bad orchid bark or something, like a bad soil mix. But now that the slime mold has come back in this one, it definitely makes me think it's a moisture issue because the rest of my Monsteras are fine. So we are gonna chuck this entire thing. Look at all those roots. I cannot believe I grew this plant from a single node. You can actually see the node there. Let me show you. That's the little node that I grew this plant from. And yeah, to be able to propagate this plant, yeah, that would be really hard to propagate with these internodal spacings. All right, so we are going to use soul soils, and I think I'm going to make a little bit of it up into a pot together with some more like extra chunky perlite. All right, so I have a bunch of chunky perlite in here, and then I'm gonna add the soul soils, their houseplant mix, just kind of mix it in here with it. And this chunky perlite is from soul soils as well. I might have added too much of this perlite. It's very, very chunky. So that's what it looks like. Do you see how chunky that is? Very airy. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my Osmocote. This is my slow release fertilizer. And probably about a teaspoon for a 6-inch. See, it was in a taller pot and this is like a shorter pot, so I'm gonna have to squish the root down in here a little bit. It's very chunky, so I'm just making sure to fill in all those little gaps. This looks so good. I already love how this is growing, or how it looks. It's eventually going to have to like turn this away towards the light as it continues to grow, like up and out. But I'm just going to use this acrylic stake down in the center. And I don't like to support the newest leaf because I don't want the new growth to be obstructed or affected in any way. So I'm going to secure it to the second leaf, which is right here. And I'm just going to use a piece of plant Velcro. I don't know if I got all this fertilizer in here. I'm just going to use a little bit more. Still see a lot of my fertilizer balls that fell. You guys, this looks so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, look. Isn't that beautiful? That mix is super, super chunky. This plant is gonna be so happy, I feel like. So I'm just gonna take some water. I did just water this plant, so I don't wanna overdo it, but I'm just going to moisten the soil just so it can all like mend together. I do like these clear pots, but sometimes they're hard to water. Water does drip out all the holes. That's why I mostly use them for like my chunky anthurium and my moss poles. For certain plants, I like the clear pots for. And I do have my mosquito dunk water in this to prevent fungus gnats. I like use the dunks and mix it into a gallon jug. I actually leave it in the gallon jug and then I just water my plants with it. I said I wasn't gonna water a lot and I'm watering a lot. I just kind of wanted to get most of that moistened through there. All right, I'm gonna let her drain, and yeah, I think the new home is gonna be perfect. I need to find a planter for these pots because I don't have like any extra laying around. And if you're using a clear pot and the plant gets a lot of light, then you can see algae growth, which is pretty common. Unless you can put it in some kind of, you know, cache pot, then you won't get the algae growth, or at least you won't be able to see it on the outside. So I'll have to get something at some point. Look at how good. Just makes me love this plant even more now. I can definitely keep an eye on the root system. It's going to get a lot more airflow. I just think overall it's going to be a lot happier in here. I'm really happy. I'm so excited I did this. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed me repotting my Monstera Tycon, and I actually have a baby one. I didn't tell you that. I have another Tycon that I have, so I'll have two growing, which I probably won't keep one like down the road. Once it grows more, I'll probably only keep one. But I am excited that I have another one too growing in case, you know, something does happen to one of them. I have a backup. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you all again very soon.